Hey, good morning, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here, keeping a close eye on the chance for some strong, maybe even isolated severe storms this evening during trick-or-treating. It's not a huge risk, but it's kind of that real tiny threshold where we got to watch the potential because of the timing. The timing is not ideal for trick-or-treating tonight. We could still have it. We just got to keep a close eye on the radar this evening. First things first, we've got some showers moving in right now. You can see a line of scattered showers. No lightning detected in this yet. Doesn't mean we couldn't see some pick up. What I'm really watching is this area of low pressure down to the south. This thing is going to track up in this direction, and this warm front is the key part. As that warm front gets north, if we get into this warm sector down here, as this whole system pushes up, that could produce just enough instability to possibly produce an isolated strong storm or two. Now I'm going to turn on the surface temperatures real quickly here because I think this will tell you a lot about the stability that's out there right now. This is one of those days again where you want to see the clouds kind of stay with us, because as long as it says cloudy and kind of cool, that means we're wedged in. That's stable air. If we see some warmth or humidity built in or even breaks in the clouds, that could create some instability. And you can see that right along that warm front down in southern Georgia. So that's what we're watching for this evening. The timing of this is the problem. Not that it's going to be widespread or all over the place. It's just that could arrive just in the heart of trick-or-treating time. So for that reason, we're keeping a close eye on the weather, and we want you to be weather aware this evening before you head out and do some trick-or-treating. Real quickly, look at this at the rain chances here. Kind of move my head out of the way. You can see 3 o'clock, pretty low, but then this evening until about 9 o'clock, scattered to probable. So we're not washout category. We're not up here in the likely or it's going to rain everywhere. It's just that's the highest chance of rain over the next several hours. Now, here's the future cast. I'm going to show it to you real quickly. We'll pause it real quick, and I'll go real slowly here, a little bit at a time. So that's 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to go to about 4 or 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock, we've got a line trying to develop back to the west. So it might start dry this evening. We go to 6 o'clock, go to 7 o'clock. So right around 7 o'clock, it looks like we start to see an uptick in activity. And by 8 to 9 o'clock, it gets pretty widespread. So just based on looking at that right now, maybe going out earlier might be a better bet and get home before the rain moves in, because you could see some of these are going to be pretty strong and heavy. So while it won't rain the whole time, these could be brief, real heavy downpours as they move in, and then through 9 o'clock. So you can see kind of late evening is kind of the time frame I'm watching. Now, something else to keep an eye on is there is a little severe weather risk. So if we see a little bit of an uptick in that instability, it's not huge, but these STP values, we call them significant tornado parameters, these are tiny. But that's enough. That means some of these updrafts could be rotating. Certainly could see some small hail, gusty winds, and lightning. Lightning's probably our biggest issue. Could we see an isolated tornado? It's not unheard of in this setup because of this little wedge boundary, but you could see mainly from Charlotte east, right around that 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock time frame would be the time that we're watching. So quick look at the forecast. I'll move my head out of the way. You could see the rain chance is probably, I'd say 60%, but I'm really heavily weighting the second half of this. So 7, 8, 9 o'clock this evening. That to me is when we'll see the highest chance of rain. So let's look at that severe weather probability just a little bit more closely. So one of the ways you can tell if things are going to get a little bit stronger is you look at CAPE, or what I refer to, you've heard me refer to as thunderstorm fuel. It's basically the energy that storms need to feed off of. So we'll go through the afternoon, and you can see these blues and these greens coming up from the south. That's the CAPE. So we'll get to about 5 p.m. I'm going to stop at 5 p.m. There's a little corridor of CAPE. It's not off the charts, but if that builds up here around 5, 6, 7 o'clock, you can see there's just enough energy that maybe we could see a storm or two. So for the mountains and foothills, you're going to be wedged in. While it might be rainy, drizzly, misty, no real risk of thunderstorms. But from Charlotte south and east, that's where that risk of a thunderstorm is possible this evening. So that's what I'll be watching. Where does that boundary set up? And the thing to remember too is this is kind of like a cold front. There's a warm front here. So the winds are coming in from the south here. They're coming in from the east here, and probably more of the northeast or maybe a little bit of a west. So there's a little bit of spin there. So any storms that form along that little wedge there, those are the ones you got to watch a little more closely. So could we see some rotating storms? Let's look at that. So a quick look at the rotating thunderstorm potential. We'll look at this about the same time frame. You could see a couple of these cells want to rotate, and that's again in that 8, 9, 10 o'clock time frame. So all in all, I think later evening is going to be more of an issue than early evening. So just stay weather aware this evening. It's something we've got to watch carefully as this area of low pressure to the south gets up here and eventually spreads in, maybe some instability and that could produce the chance for some strong storms in the 7, 8, 9 p.m. time frame. Of course, I'll have you covered, posting updates throughout the afternoon.